Well, good morning. My name is Savannah. I know some of you have probably seen me before, some of you maybe have not. I, along with Michaela, am one of the behavioral support staff for Prism Project. I was a tutoring student many moons ago, and when I started volunteering with Prism Project in their inaugural year. It's a hard word to say in the morning. But I've been with the program for about 10 years now, so the entire time that this has been happening in New Orleans, I've been a part of it. So I've seen a lot, and we are going to impart all this wisdom on you. In my professional life, I'm an HR director at a solar company, so very outside of this completely. I'm gonna go over some of the more like housekeeping, roles and responsibilities type of thing that falls very much in my purview, and Michaela is gonna go over all of the more things that you may see, what to expect, and you can say what your position is.
And in my personal life, I am a teacher at Opportunities Academy, which is a school for students with special needs, ages 19 to 22, so it's like transitional high school, so kind of an alternative to college type thing. Yeah.
And I will say, I'm acting as a behavioral support assistant. I've been with the program for 10 years, and my brother is also on the spectrum. So I'm not like way outside of this. I do kind of know what's going on. Okay, so the goal of this training is really to equip you guys. We had, a couple scheduling conflicts with Sanchez Center, but we decided let's continue to get these people together so that we can kind of run through what to expect. We realized that a lot of you are brand new to Prism Project, and it is a wonderful program to be a part of, but it's kind of jarring if you've never done it before. We're not a program that tries to get anything out of these kids other than a good time. And so that's really why kids don't get to do this. There's always like a goal that they have to meet, or they have a, whatever. There's some expectation on them. We don't have that at all. So we just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to kind of know what to expect and ask us any questions before we kind of put you around 30 crazy kids. It's gonna be a good time. So to give you guys an overview of the staff at Prism Project, we do have somewhat of an actual org chart, which is great. This is taking a long time to come to fruition. But at the very top, we have Aisha Johnson. She is the director over at Families Helping Families of Southeast Louisiana, New Orleans. I don't know, her title may have changed, but she oversees us and a couple of other different programs, and she's really overseeing Jeremy. So Jeremy does have somebody to report to about the program. And you guys all know Jeremy at this point. He is our fearless leader, does a great job overseeing everybody. Some of you may know Annika White. She is working remotely, I think, yes. But she's overseeing all of our data analysis. So one of the great ways that we get funding is by collecting all this data, which comes from you guys, which I'll go over that a little bit later. But that way we can show year over year and even month to month how these kids are progressing and how the program is growing. So Annika's really great about that stuff. And then on the other side, you have Jeremy's helpers. We've got a director's intern and a director's assistant. So you'll see them running around and helping out with different items. Next up, we've got our creative directors. So these go through all of what we call our classes. We have instruments, dance, vocals, and theater. So you'll see them floating around. They're gonna be the ones that are actually leading the classes. You'll meet them next week, but they are fantastic. They're in charge. They're here? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, introduce yourselves. You guys are all new this year, so I didn't even notice. But if you guys want to introduce yourselves. Yeah, let's go in order.
My name is Chris Shear. There's actually a name in my last name. Oh, sorry. That's all right. It's okay. Sorry. I'm used to being mispronounced. Yeah, so I'm a guitar player, and I've been in early childhood education for 15 years. I have some experience with students on the spectrum. This will be the largest group I've worked with, and yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun. I really appreciate everybody having on support. It's a really great aspect of the program, so I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for joining us.
And I am Andrea Peoples. I'm over dance, and I dance professionally. I do West African, Afro-Cuban, modern, and Afro-Brazilian. Kind of like Chris, I've had experience a little bit
Lydia over at Peter is not here this weekend, but she's also a Tulane alum, and I don't know what she does. She's a speech therapist,
Yeah.
and she is also Tulane alum.
And I'll speak for her,
Oh,
her
yeah.
credentials a little bit. She's worked for a few years doing the theater component, using her speech therapy skills, kind of lacing that creatively, the narrative between the music and the dance. So like she does like targeting on storytelling and working with children, and then kind of in some ways a description of her job too, is using, you know, creative aspects to help encourage communication. It's a great hybrid blend.
Yeah, Lydia's been with the program as well. She started with Tulane United for Autism. She's a Tulane alum, and she moved away for a few years for grad school and then came back and had to jump back in the program. It's not a good show. So we're excited to have her. Okay, next up is our behavioral support staff. So that is where Michaela and I fall. We are overseen by Kelly Fisher, who actually is the reason that this program even exists in New Orleans. Her son Noah, who was a performer this year, was part of the program at Ball State out in Indiana. And when they moved to New Orleans, she saw a need in this community and built up this program. So we are excited to have Kelly remotely this year overseeing us. And I don't believe Lydia's obviously not here. She does double duty. Is she here?
Yeah.
Introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is May Shine. I work for Michaela at Opportunities Academy. So like she said, it's for like older kids on the spectrum, all between the age of 18 and 22, helping support them for once they transition us. I have about 7 or 8 years experience doing it, and I also have a 10-year-old daughter who's also on the spectrum. So I'm really, experienced in a lot of areas, but I'm also here willing to learn new things and just grow. Nice meeting you guys. Look forward to working with you guys this year.
We're excited to have you. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so and just to kind of go over like our roles and responsibilities, we'll dive a bit deeper into this. The creative directors are really in charge of what is happening in those classes and helping us build the program for the end of the year. The behavioral support staff is helping manage the performers. So they're obviously going to have a lot of different personality traits, which are sometimes fun to deal with. And so we're here to support you guys. That's our main role. And then we have our buddy support staff. So headed up by someone you guys should all know. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Addison. I am president of TUA, and I'm the volunteer coordinator. So if you guys have any problems or questions, just always feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you so much. We're just big help. And then you guys as the buddies. So if you guys are ever having issues throughout the program, we have kind of like a step-by-step of who you should ask first. It's really similar to what you learned in elementary school. First, ask the person next to you. So ask another buddy if they can maybe help you with your performer. If that doesn't work, you can then escalate it to Addison. If Addison is not available, you can escalate it to one of us. And if it's something that goes a bit over our head, you can escalate it up to Jeremy. If it's something where one of us isn't in the room, creative directors can help you, but they've also got 10 other kids. So try and make sure that you're being cognizant of what their responsibilities are in this space and figure that out. But most of the time, it's going to come to one of us. So your role as a buddy, you're assigned to a performer. So you'll be working one-on-one with a child or with a performer. They're not always children. We have a wide age range this year, which I'm really excited about. It's a little different. But really what you're trying to do is create a positive relationship with them and their guardian. It's supposed to be fun. Like I said, we're trying to foster relationships both with you and the performer, but also between the performers. That has been my favorite part of the Prism Project over the year, is seeing these performers develop relationships that go outside of this program. So that's really important, that you guys are just making sure that you have eyes on your performer and make sure they're having a good time. So next step is remaining in close proximity throughout the entire rehearsal. We've got some runners, so make sure that you've got eyes on your kid. And you'll rotate with them. So we'll rotate between the classes, and your responsibility is to stick with that performer. And then last, promote skill building, both artistically and socially. Again, this is supposed to be fun for them, so let's make sure that they're participating, but also that they're having fun with the other performers. So if there's something where it's like, hey, we're gonna mirror something in dance. Well, you could mirror it with your performer, but if they've got a friend, maybe they wanna mirror it together, and you can kind of step back and mirror it with the other friend. Does that make sense? Cool. And then last, have fun. This is really supposed to be a super fun program for everybody involved. If this ever gets stressful, let us know. That is not our intention at all. We're trying to have a good time. So that comes along with a little bit of responsibility on the part of you guys. We really need you guys to, this is kind of embarrassing that I'm saying it because I showed up late this morning, but show up on time and ready to participate. I apologize for being late, but we got it rocking and rolling. But we need to make sure that you guys are there. Again, this is a one-on-one situation, so if you're not there, it kind of hinders the ability of the performer to get engaged because they don't really have their support system. And you need to make sure that you're recognizing that they're gonna mirror your excitement level. So if you walk in and you're dragging your feet, y'all look, it's Saturday morning, I get it. I went to Tulane, I know what a Saturday morning feels like out here, but they are going to mirror your positivity. So if you come in tired and dragging your feet and you're like kind of dancing like this, like nobody is taking you seriously. Be a noodle, like go absolutely insane. The more fun you're having, the more fun they're gonna have, which is the whole point. There's a bit of the data keeping that you guys are responsible for as well. The first tier of that is the performer folders. So at the end of every single day, we do a cool down activity. Part of that is going through folders. And I'll kind of dive a little bit deeper into our schedule at the very end. But performer folders are really important. This is a take-home folder that the kids take home to their guardians after every single week. And this is only positive things. So there may be a performer who has a great time and learned their dance and learned all the songs and participated fully in instruments, and they had a great day. It's gonna be really easy to go through and fill out the folder with them and say, like, what was your favorite part of instruments? Oh, playing with the iPad? Great, let's write that down, whatever it is. There are gonna be some performers that didn't fully participate. That's cool. Maybe they didn't wanna go to dance. Some kids don't wanna groove. That's no big deal. So maybe they doubled up on instruments. Just note that in the folder. Like maybe next week our goal for dance is to go to dance. Maybe it's not. Totally fine. But this is something that the performers take home to their guardians, and we want it to be extremely positive. These parents are aware that they might have had an outburst or something. They know what's going on with their kids. This is supposed to be positive, okay? We are not teachers. We are not worried about anything negative that happened. What goes home with the kid is completely positive. Does that make sense? Cool. We'll have stickers, we'll have markers, we'll draw, color, it's gonna be great. The second line is that buddy reporting survey. This is where we get real, okay? This is gonna be an online survey that you guys are gonna fill out after every single rehearsal. And this is what we wanna know what happened. What made you feel uncomfortable? Was there something that a performer did that was like a little difficult to deal with? Is there something that we need to know? Is there some big leap and bound that your performer made this week that was like so amazing? We wanna know that. The good, the bad, the ugly. This is internal, this is where you report it. Absolutely not here. This is all positive. If somebody sat in a corner for the entire time and played with a bouncy ball, cool. Let's talk about how they did a great job playing with bouncy ball and we created a new game and it was so much fun. Maybe we played the songs like on our phone while we were sitting there and they started to sing along. That's fine, that's cool. Positive, real. Make sense? Cool. All right, and then the last one here, communicate with us concerning any issues. So anything with performers comes to us as the behavioral staff. Anything in terms of like transportation or absences, that's what I ask. Easy peasy? Sweet. Any questions there on your role or responsibilities then? Oh, sorry. Okay, so now our role. So we told you what you're responsible for. I think it's only fair to let you know what we are responsible for and support you guys. So we rotate with each assigned group, and we'll split the groups up after the first rehearsal. Our main role is to be a support for you guys. So that's guidance on how to elicit more participation. That's really all we're trying to do in support with you guys. And we also monitor all the behavioral needs within the rehearsal. So we act as the disciplinarians of Prism Project. I will say this until my face turns blue. You guys are positive. Y'all are fun. Y'all are where the energy comes in. That being said, Safety is a huge concern. We can't have a kid throwing something at another performer. We can't have a child sticking their finger in an electrical socket, which has happened before. We cannot have somebody running down the hallway and trying to get out, okay? Y'all are not in charge. Obviously, if it's a safety thing, like, do not let a kid stick their finger in an electrical socket. Please do not let that happen. But if there's something happening that, you know, you are like, oh, they shouldn't be doing that, let us know and we'll step in. We are the ones that say no. No should never come out of y'all's mouth, okay? Like, you guys are positive poly. We are like there to make sure everybody's safe, but also be the disciplinarians. All right, so what we kind of do with that responsibility is we advise the director on buddy and performer pairings. So in our first rehearsal, it'll be a little bit more free form and you guys will be able to connect with the performers. There may be somebody that you are drawn to, let us know. We'll make sure that that happens if it's within our capacity. But we're gonna be observing you guys, and there might be a personality that maybe you didn't even hang out with this performer, but we're like, that volunteer is really gonna match well with that. So we kind of pay attention to that, as well as the performer groups. So we've split the performers up a bunch of different ways over the years, and it kind of just depends on the group. It's not something we know until we have all of them together. Sometimes it's by age, sometimes it's by gender, sometimes it's by interest. It totally depends. So we are responsible for advising the directors on how that kind of gets broken up and making sure that if there are changes that need to happen throughout the semester, we have our eyes and ears open for that kind of stuff. We also communicate any issues with the guardian. So you guys will be having interactions with the guardians when the child is dropped off and picked up. Sorry, I'm saying child, I'm not used to having older performers, but when the performer gets dropped off, you will be, taking the performer from the guardian and giving the performer back to the guardian. But any sort of issues, we are going to communicate that. So all of your interactions with the parents or guardians should be positive. You guys, again, positive poly, we're negative Nancy. Not even that we're negative, but alliteration works this morning. So we will discuss any solutions and maybe provide consistency. Maybe this performer has a behavior that is showing up at Prism Project, but is also showing up at home or at school, and we want to create consistency across all those platforms. So maybe there's a particular phrase that they use at home and at school, and we can bring that phrase in Prism Project so that performer is getting consistency across all channels. So we will be the ones to communicate that with y'all, and if you guys have something that happened, let us know so that we can then take that to the guardian and have that line of communication open. And then we also create and implement behavioral strategies. We really just want to make sure that everybody's having a good time, everybody's engaged. Everybody's engagement might be a little different. So some performers might be fully engaged in all 3 classes, some might not be, and that is totally fine. We've had performers before that do an independent study, and it was great, and he created a bunch of art, and we showcased it at the end of the semester, and it was beautiful. So we'll kind of work on what that looks like for each performer. And then we gather feedback from y'all and from the staff. It's really important that we keep all lines of communication open. This can only be fun and positive and work if we're all on the same page. So we really ask that you guys let us know so that we can support y'all. We're not mind readers. We don't know if you feel uncomfortable with something unless you tell us. It's okay to be uncomfortable with something. That's totally fine. This is not y'all's job. We recognize that. You guys are volunteers. That's cool. Let us know if we can help you. Okay, and I will pass the torch to Michaela.
Alright, now we get into the fun stuff. So just kind of getting you guys prepared for some things you might see while we're at Prism Project. So eloping or just running away, and like Savannah said, we will be the ones to chase after them if needed. Not wanting to participate, also like she said, participation is completely voluntary. We do not force participation, it is not required, it is for their enjoyment. Crying or tantrums, sibling rivalry is a big one. We have a lot of siblings in the Prism Project. We tend to separate them into different classes. If anybody has a sibling, you understand, you get into it sometimes. Sensory overload and performers needing a break. So breaks can look very different, and you're always welcome to take a break with your performer. It could look like going to get water, it could look like going to a quiet area, it could look like we'll have some like coloring things out, some sensory toys that they could play with if they needed a moment. They could go on a walk with you in the area, not like off, out of the building. And it also could look like switching rooms. So if you're in instruments and it's really loud and you can notice that they're having some sensory and they need a break from the instruments, maybe they'll go to dance for a little bit. All right, so I'm just gonna go over a few different things for you guys so you can feel prepared to be interacting with your performer, because you will be the main one interacting with them. So just a few things, and we'll go over more things as the season progresses, or if you feel like you need some more help or guidance, of course, always come find us and we will give you some more, but I just want to give you a quick few ones for to get you started. So we're going to be talking about priming. We're also going to be talking about just being positive and composed. We're going to be talking again about the resources that you have with the staff and behavior specialists is what they're called now. And then we're also going to be talking about prompting. So priming is just, we're going to keep our buddy informed and prepared for transitions and activities before they happen. So everybody's going to have a necklace with a schedule on the back. It's all a visual schedule. So we're going to be sticking to those times, and you can give your buddy, your performer, some time warnings. Like, we're moving to dance in 5 minutes. And then you can point to the schedule and be like, look, we're in instruments, next is dance, then we have vocals. We're going to instruments in 5 minutes, and then tell them again in 3 minutes, tell them again once in 1 minute. This will be especially true if your performer struggles with transitions or struggles with stopping an activity that they are working on, and letting them know what's gonna happen next gives them predictability and will help with some of the behaviors, prevent some of the behaviors that we might see. We have timers, verbal countdowns, visual schedules. So we talked about the name tags. Some of the performers will have a bigger schedule if that's what their need is, and we'll take care of making those, and they'll carry it around with them, and you can help them look at that larger schedule. So prompting, when we're in the classes, so say you're in instruments and Chris gives you guys a directive to like work on it, do something with an instrument. If your performer is not getting it based on Mr. Chris's directions, they're probably going to need some additional prompting. So you can repeat exactly what Mr. Chris said. You could also rephrase it in maybe some simpler language or just in a different way. If that doesn't work, you can make some gestures with your body, like towards it, like show them, or like, make sure you're guiding and using a lot of body language. Modeling, so if it's the drums, maybe you play on the drums first and show them, and then now it's their turn. The partial physical support would be like if it requires maybe 2 steps, like say there is a drum in one hand and I don't know anything about instruments. A drumstick is what we call it, and the other, right? So say you have that, and they're struggling with that. Maybe you hold the drum and they hold the stick. Does that make sense? And then the full physical support, the hand over hand, that would be you gently, with their consent, holding over their hand and helping guide them to the drum. And then we'll make sure we pair you guys based on your comfort levels. If we have performers that need a lot of physical support, that will require some touching, and we'll get into appropriate touch later. But make sure you vocalize that to us in those forms if that's something that you're not comfortable with for any reason.
Or if your idea of being comfortable changes.
Yeah.
That's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes things change, let us know.
Right, like maybe you're doing hand over hand and then it's a little like slobbery or something, you know what I mean? You can always address that if that's like out of your comfort zone or whatever we need to do to make that not happen. Positivity and composure, kind of like what Savannah was saying, they're gonna match your mood and your vibes. So when something is happening, sometimes behaviors are alarming, and it is very important that your face stays neutral. We all have a neutral face right now. If a student or a performer is throwing things and running out the room, your face should stay the same as it was before that happened. We are not going to overreact because it actually, more times than not, escalates the situation. And the most helpful thing you can do is just stay calm. Or fun and silly and engaged in the lesson. So we're gonna sing along, we're gonna dance along. You are gonna be your buddy's biggest cheerleader, cheering them on for everything, big or small. You know, like you said with basketball, it doesn't matter how small, you can find something to cheer them on. And if you're having a hard time finding something to praise them for, see a buddy or see us, there's always something. And we are there to intervene in any of the situations that become escalated. Remember that all behavior has a purpose, and we might not always know what the purpose is. We can make guesses, but everything has a purpose and a reasoning. Even extreme behaviors, even unexpected behaviors, even disruptive behaviors are all coming from a reason. So for the behavior of yelling or screaming, because then can we get a volunteer? What do you guys think a reason for a performer yelling could be for this project?
They feel like they're not being understood.
They're not being understood. Yeah, they're trying to communicate something, or their feelings that are not being understood. Yes. Could be lots of reasons for yelling. Yeah. Anger, very angry. Yeah, they're mad. They have some emotions. We all get angry sometimes. What else? They want some attention. Yeah. Yeah.
Be excited.
Say it again.
Excited.
Yeah, they could be excited. They could just be really having a great time, and they're just getting a little rowdy, you know. Any other reasons? Yeah. Overwhelmed, overstimulated. Yeah, sensory reasons. So there could always be a lot of different reasons, and we want to keep that in mind when we're dealing with some of these behaviors. And we want to keep the compassion too, that like it's not just for no reason. There is a reason that these behaviors are happening. Y'all got that good. I was gonna do some other behaviors, but it seemed like we got that. All right. So while we're dealing with behaviors, you know, I often ask myself this as a teacher. It's one of the biggest questions that I struggle with, honestly, in my life. I know we ask ourselves that. You might ask yourselves this, like as one of the staff members or one of the volunteers, like, is this the right thing to do? And we're working with people, they're human beings. No situation is always going to be the same. There could be many reasons. There's very rarely a correct or right way to do things. We just want to be natural, and we want to be genuine. We want to form these relationships. We want to stay positive. We want to stay compassionate. Our energy levels will differ, and that's fine. That's okay. Everybody has like feelings. You know, the performers might have a great day one week, and then the next week they don't. It happens. Modeling appropriate behavior is always better than trying to like track down, to try to force somebody to do the right thing. So if your performer is making poor choices that day, you showing, or if they don't want to participate, you participating or you know, and being in it and dancing along, showing them what you want them to do is always better than trying to force somebody to do something that you want them to do. We're not really in the business of compliance in Prism Project. We don't force anybody to comply with anything that they don't want to comply with. And that's really big for us. Yeah, and not everything happens at different rates. So, you know, they might be making progress and you don't see it, We're gonna make sure that we shout out all the progress that we're seeing and all the great things that we're seeing. It's gonna happen really fast for some performers. It might not be as noticeable at first glance for other performers, but we'll make sure we unpack those so that we can all appreciate those moments very well. Okay, so always just remembering that we're here to help. So if anybody has any anxiety about this or you still don't feel prepared to deal with your performer, you have us as a tool, and there are 4 of us. So you can always consult with us. We will step in whenever it becomes escalated, so please don't worry that you feel like, I don't know how to deal with a child that's tantruming, I've never done that before. You don't have to. That's where we come in. We do have meetings before and after each rehearsal, so there is time before the performers show up, and there is time after when they leave. We will get up, make sure we are set up and that you guys have everything you need to be able to be successful with them, and then afterwards we will debrief and go through anything that we need to too. We will be in the rooms as much as we can. We'll be assigned to our groups and we'll be observing. So we might notice a lot of things too, and we might come step in and assist. You know, if we have to be out in the hall with a performer, then we might not be in the room. But when we're in there, if you want to consult with us, like if you need any consultations or like, can you come help with this? You're always welcome to come up to us and ask for a consultation for us to help you. And yeah.
We're here to support.
Okay, so some rules and regulations about physical touch. We talked a little bit earlier about how physical touch might happen sometimes at the Prism Project. Sometimes you might need to touch them. It could be a partner dance move. Maybe at the beginning we're all walking and we walk in this big circle. Maybe we hold hands at one point. You know, it's okay for that kind of physical touch as long as it's consensual. If they don't want to hold your hand, please do not force them to hold your hand. If they need hand over hand support, a little bit of physical support, same thing. If they need it, that's fine. Gentle, it needs to be gentle. We don't do any sort of forceful touch. We're not grabbing. If you're doing some sort of hand over hand, it should be really, really light with no force at all. And I'm trying to think, can you think of any other time we might be touching?
The only exception to this rule is if it's a safety issue. So if you have a performer who's about to fling themselves down a flight of stairs, please grab them. Please grab them.
Right.
Like, do not allow them to hurt themselves. That is the only time that there should ever be
And that would
unwanted
be,
touch.
and I would say that's an immediate danger. So like if you're the only one nearby and we're by stairs and they're about to fling themselves down, of course grab them. Or if you're the only one standing next to them and they're about to put their finger in a light socket, of course, you know what I mean? Try to keep their safety in mind, because every time that you are grabbing forcefully, there is always a risk of injuring somebody else, so we need to be careful. So if a behavior specialist is near you in a situation like that happens, let us handle it. If they run out of the room, we will chase them down.
Can you talk about what happens if a performer is flailing their arms about and maybe the buddy is afraid of getting hurt by the performer's arm? What would you do?
What would I do?
Yeah, how would you recommend that be handled?
Okay, so what I would do is I would step away from the performer and I would have as many other of the other performers and volunteers step away too, give them a lot of space and wait for a behavior specialist to come. Just back away.
Sometimes in the reverse, we do have some performers that are very touchy and they want to crawl in your lap and they want to be held and they want to be picked up. We want them to participate, but this goes for y'all too. If there's something that's happening that you're just a little bit uncomfortable with, maybe your performer is really all over you and you're like, I need my personal space, let us know. We can work with you to kind of define those boundaries for the performer as well. Goes both ways.
Yeah. And I just wanted to kind of go a little bit back to like if there is a situation where we need to grab performer. So me and Mayshawn are actually trained in like restraint and strategies to when things like that happen, because it happens, because there are safety things. So when at all possible, if it has to happen, and it doesn't happen that often, let us do it if possible. So just think to yourself, sorry, I'm not trying to freak anybody out
I
right
think
now,
in
but
10 years it's happened maybe once.
Yeah,
Like,
so it doesn't
I'm struggling
happen.
to find a time where it's gonna happen. So it won't happen often, but it might. So just communicate.
yeah, definitely. Thank you. All right, bathroom policy. Under no circumstances should you be alone in a bathroom with performers. So if you are a volunteer and you need to go to the bathroom, we have bathrooms. You need to bring another volunteer with you, or you need to make sure that the bathroom is empty when you walk in. So if it's empty, you're welcome to go in. But if you're walking in and you notice that there's performers, you will need to grab somebody else to be in there with you. Staff members are allowed, are the only ones that are allowed to assist performers who need assistance with restrooming. And even more specific with that, it will be the behavioral support team, and we have designated people to support with bathrooming. There are some performers who do need support in the restroom. If they need help with a zipper or their pants come unbuttoned, the behavior team will support with that. We're not going to be helping anybody with their belt or their buttons or their zippers. And we will not be in stalls to assist with anything in the bathroom. Anybody have any questions about this?
So,
Yeah.
if they want to go to the bathroom, then we have to get someone else.
Unless it's empty. If it's empty, like if you,
But not for myself. but
Right.
for-
the performer, yes. If a performer, thank you. If a performer needs to go to the bathroom and a lot of them might be able to just go in by themselves and you can stand out by the door.
Usually
Most
the
of
way
them
this,
can.
Yeah, usually the way this works is when we rotate between classes, we'll stop and do a water and bathroom break. We'll be there with you, and we will stand there, and you guys can come in, and that way there's more adults in the room than there are performers. But really what we're trying to mitigate here is any situation where there is a adult and a performer in the bathroom by themselves. Like there should always be 2 adults to 1 performer. That's like the golden rule. Really, it's not gonna come up often. We rotate as groups, we'll do bathroom breaks as groups. There will be times they're kids, sometimes they're like, I don't have to go to the bathroom, and then 5 minutes later they're like, I need to go to the bathroom. Totally fine, grab one of us and we'll go with you. Like if it's in the middle of dance class and you're like, yo, Charlie's gotta go to the bathroom, cool, we'll step out with you. There'll be 2 adults, 1 performer,
Well,
we'll get them.
sorry, they can go, most of them can go in by themselves.
Yes.
So the only reason you should be going into a bathroom is if you need to go to the bathroom or if another adult needs to go to the bathroom and you need to be the other person in the room with them. Does that make sense? Most of the performers can go alone, and if they can't, they'll have one of us, and we'll make sure that there's another adult too. So,
By alone,
Charlie doesn't need anybody to go.
No, I mean, yes.
by alone, you mean them going to the bathroom?
Yeah, they can go in the bathroom.
You wait outside.
Right, but what you should do is you should make sure that there isn't just 1 adult in that bathroom before they go in. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm sorry, that was early.
Sorry.
Do you all get it? Anybody have any questions? Or if you have questions in the moment too, feel free to ask us.
Wait, the only concern, I mean, I don't know
yeah.
how the place looks like, the facility,
Uh-huh.
so I was thinking safety wise,
Yeah.
if they want to run after they get out of the bathroom, or if they want to find something.
If you're standing next, so it's kind of like an alcove, and there's like the women's on one side, men's on the other, and then there's a water fountain in between, but it's like almost like a cutout of the wall. So if you're standing there and they come out, there's kind of like an easy like,
Okay.
yeah. That's cool. But they usually don't run after the bathroom. They want water.
Yeah, and if there's ever a special situation that like your performer is somebody who maybe is a little more rowdy and maybe might find themselves in more situations that maybe need more monitoring, then maybe we'll discuss like, even if they can use the bathroom by themselves, we'll still have 2 adults over there.
we get into the schedule, any questions on any of the behaviors that Michaela just talked about? Okay. So, a basic rundown of what our Saturdays are gonna look like for the next couple months. Get excited, y'all. So you guys will show up between 9 and 9:15. We'll have coffee, we'll have bagels, we'll make sure that everybody's there. We'll rub the sleep out of our eyes and get ready to roll. Because at 9:15 for the next 30 minutes, the creative staff is gonna give an overview of the material that they're gonna go teaching that day, whether it's what songs or what dances or what instruments you'll be needing, but just kind of giving you, we're priming y'all for the day so that you can prime your performer. But they'll go over what the day is going to look like in each individual class, and then we will give you guys a tip of the day or discuss something that happened last week. But we'll give you guys like a, hey, this week, remember X, Y, Z. And if there's anything from last week that you feel wasn't addressed, that's the time to voice it. So we'll have like a quick 30 minutes to kind of talk about our day and give y'all a tip. And then we get right into it. So the performers all show up around 9:45, 10 o'clock. And the way we try and do it is we don't want them to feel like they're the first person in the room or the last person to come in. So what we do is we play a song, we all start, all of us adults, walking around in a big circle dancing. And we do like, follow the leader. So once the performers start coming in, you'll keep an eye out and you're like, oh look, there's my performer Charlie. And so you'll step out of the circle, walking circle, not grab their hand unless they don't want to, but be like, hey Charlie, let's go start dancing. So you'll bring Charlie into the circle. Charlie likes to dance in the middle of the circle, that's cool. But they'll walk around with you and we're like, okay, maybe you come up with a dance. And so they decide that they want to do swimming. And so then everybody in the circle starts swimming. The whole idea of it is that they are coming into something. They don't feel like they're the first, they don't feel like they're the last. We're immediately getting their energy up. And it's a really good way to kind of figure out who is there and who is not, because you're immediately pairing up with your performer. After that, we'll split up into our groups. So I put the 3 different classes on here. Obviously, that's going to be different for each group, but we'll rotate between the 3 groups. So we've got about 25 minutes in each class, and you guys will rotate with them. At the end, we will all come back together. We'll practice any whole group numbers. So the way Prism works is we rotate in these groups, but then we also have stuff that we all do together. And sometimes we'll practice it. Maybe it's a song that we're all gonna sing, and you'll practice it within each class. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just the boys that want to do some cool rap song that they've done before. But when we all come together, we'll practice those numbers, and then we'll kind of settle everybody down. So we'll start doing folders. This is when you'll sit down with your performer. You'll fill out that folder with all your positive things that happened that day. Maybe you'll color, maybe you'll do some stickers, but we're all seated. We're all sitting, we're calm, we're about to have them leave. We want them to know that that's what's about to happen. And then we have parent pickup. So we'll dive in a little bit deeper into kind of the rules and regulations around that. But it takes about 15 minutes for all of those performers to be picked up. And then we'll have our debriefing cleanup. So that's when we'll talk about our day, talk about any challenges you guys had, any successes that we saw, and really kind of how the day went. And then you guys will fill out that online Google form when you go home. Any questions on the schedule? Yes.
Can you explain how next Saturday will be different than every other Saturday?
How next Saturday will be different than every other Saturday?
Well,
Yes,
if you can't,
absolutely.
in regards to that, we're not doing or maybe the creative part, how that's different because it's a meet and greet.
Yes.
Thanks.
So next week for our first rehearsal, we kind of alluded to this, but you guys won't be paired up with a performer yet. We won't have our groups finalized yet. So we're all really going to be in a big group the whole time, correct?
No, so just from the creative standpoint, each creative director will have a little class, and I think we'll just kind of the behaviors, we'll like break it into 3 groups for that Saturday as best we can, but that's nothing that's going to be stuck to. Does that make sense? And then
It's gonna be a little free form.
and each creative coordinator will rotate the class, and similar to the following actual rehearsal Saturday, but it's just the kind of meet and greet activities where it's drawing with music or a simple dance. It's just kind of a little get that.
Oh, we are going to break into 3 groups.
Yes, we are. That's how we did it. That's how we've done it previously.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So that's what we're gonna do next week. So it's gonna be a little bit freeform and it's gonna change. So, like I said, you guys be kind of fluid. If there's a performer that you're drawn to at the end of the rehearsal, let us know. If there's a performer that you don't feel comfortable working with, let us know. And if there's, you guys are kind of our eyes and ears for the performers as well. So if you're like, oh my goodness, this year Josie May and Erica seem to be getting along fabulously. Maybe we should put them in the same group. Like, that would be really cool too. So those are kind of the things that we're gonna be leaning on y'all for. And that throughout the season as well. No, you're fine. No, you're great. Okay, so drop off and pick up. This is something that we took way too long to define in my 10 years at Prism, but we have got it down to a science and it is beautiful. I love it. So the way that the Sanchez Center is set up, for those that haven't been, it's a rec center, but there's like a long, wide open hallway and then rooms kind of around it. So at the end, we're all gonna be in one room, and it's kind of off to the side, but it's all windows. So the performers can see out. Sometimes they get really excited when they see, their mom there to pick them up and they wanna run out of the room. You need to make sure that you are, not physically, don't touch them, but you are physically making sure that the performer is to the guardian. They must be handed off unless otherwise specified. And you guys will develop a relationship with the guardians as well. You'll be like, oh, Susan's parents, talk to them every single week, they're great, run into them at Costco, it's fabulous. But you guys are gonna be interacting with them as well, so you know which performer belongs to which guardian. Yes.
I want to go back for signing in for drop off. We also have the parents sign in on a form, their performers. So there's a table. So
Yeah, but they won't see that.
The buddies will see that.
They're in the room. They're doing whole group activity.
That's
we
right.
see that.
You're right.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, just for FYI, that and then on their leaving, that we make sure that that list that we have is all taken care of, because we do want to hand it off to the right parent. And just if there's a question, like a different guardian has come, we need to have the understanding of who that is and get approval from the dropping off parent.
Yeah. And sometimes that happens because they're all friends too. So sometimes, I don't know, for example, Charlie's mom will take
Finn's. Yeah.
Finn's mom will
Yeah.
take multiple or whatever it is. But we have to know that because, again, we are responsible for these performers. A lot of these parents over the years have come to us and really expressed how great this program is. And I remember I keep going back to Charlie, I don't know why he's sticking around my mind this morning. He is great, but I remember when his mom first dropped him off at Prism Project, she was so anxious. She was like, what do you mean I just leave him? She had never left her child with anybody outside of the school before, and it was very difficult for her, and now she's like, all right, bye Charlie, have a good time. So this is a trust thing with us as well. We want to honor and respect that. We are responsible for these performers. And this is a really great opportunity for the parents to go run errands without a child who may make behaviors difficult to go to the grocery store. So it's an opportunity for us to develop a relationship with them. So make sure that you're mindful of that. When you do hand them off, make sure that they have all of their belongings. Make sure that they have that beautiful take-home folder that you wrote all the wonderful things about their rehearsal that day. And always be positive. So introduce yourself on day one. Prompt the performer to be like, hey Susan, what was your favorite part today? Or did you have a really fun time playing with, the drums today? And then Susan will start talking to her parents about how great instruments was. So that's really what we're trying to do. Always, always, always be positive. If there have been any issues in the rehearsal, let us know and we will discuss that with the guardian. Again, positive Polly, we're dealing with all the issues. So let us know. We all have experience speaking with parents and kind of navigating those waters in a positive way. So let us handle that. Everything positive is on. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? And when we're in this space, we'll do like a quick rundown. It'll make so much sense. There's like barriers and tables and doors, and we'll figure it all out. But the main thing that you guys need to be mindful of is that you are making sure that that handoff happens. And you're not just like, oh yeah, Susan left, like, no big deal. Make sure that they are responding. reminder of this. Okay, that was it, right?
Yeah,
Just
just
give it-
making sure the first thing out of your mouth when you walk up to a parent is like really positive. Like put a lot of thought to the first thing that you say when you drop them off. Like, you know, think about the best part of the whole day and make that the first thing.
Yes.
Can I speak to that? So, one of the things I've noticed, I work with children with special needs in my private practice, from parents is they have a lot of emotional weight when it comes to their children's behaviors. And they're used to hearing the problems. And it's not that we're ignoring that, it's just they hear that all the time, specifically from school. They're always hearing their children's problems if the school is not well adapted at helping for other things too. But so that's kind of the reason behind this approach is we want to focus on this positive side because they get the negative side of their children's behaviors. And that's just kind of like, we want the experience to be uplifting, and we're not asking you to be dishonest, we're just asking to be respectful of and understanding the parent's position, I think. Yeah, so thank you.
Glass half full. There's always a silver lining, and we will find it and put a giant magnifying to it. This is supposed to be fun for the kids, for the parents, and for every happy time. Question? Yes? No? You looked like you had a question. Okay. Yes.
In terms of like dress code, would you prefer like leggings and a t-shirt, or is like jeans fine?
You're going to be moving, so anything, like I would not wear this Prism Project. Make sure that you've got shoes that you can move in. You're going to be dancing. You're going to be running around. You're going to be jumping. Make sure it's something comfortable. We have, I don't think in my 10 years ever had something where we had to talk to somebody about their dress code, but also keep in mind that you're around, our performers span ages, and correct me if I'm wrong, from 6 to 24. Okay, so you've got some younger kids, but we also have some performers that are going through puberty, so be mindful of that. And you're also interacting with their parents, so anything like don't wear booty shorts, okay? Because we're gonna have to have a conversation, and that is literally my job as HR in my professional life. This is supposed to be fun. I don't want to talk to you about what you're wearing, but make sure you can move. Make sure you're wearing shoes that are comfortable, that you can dance in. You're going to be sitting, you're going to be standing, you're going to be running around, so just be mindful of that. That was a great question. Thank you. Any questions on that? Yes.
So it's more like a t-shirt environment, not a polo.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Yep.
T-shirt and leggings is fine. T-shirt and sweats are fine. T-shirt and basketball shorts or shorts that are long, that's fine too.
Yes.
Just for clarification, so when do you fill out the take-home folders?
So take-home folders will be in our larger at the very end. So you'll rotate in your classes, and go back to the schedule. There it is. So you'll rotate through your classes, and then we'll all come together and we'll perform, go over the numbers that we're all doing together. So whether that's a song or a dance, or maybe it's just a silly game. Maybe we play freeze dance. I love freeze dance. And then we, as the behaviorists, will kind of say, okay guys, time to do folders. And we'll pass out the folders, everybody will sit down. It'll be really, really obvious. Yeah, it'll be super obvious.
We will direct you through this schedule.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't even know the schedule when I was a volunteer. I just kind of like went where everybody told me to, and then we have since decided that our performers need to know what the schedule is, so that's why you guys know. But it'll be abundantly clear when every single thing happens. Yes.
There will also be a QR code on the lanyard, and you can look on that with your phone to see the schedule, the whole season schedule, as well as what's printed.
Awesome. Yeah, and those lanyards, they're like this big. They have your name large on them. If you're a staff member, it'll have like what your position is, and then it'll have the performer. And then once we do break them up into groups, we usually color code them, and so everybody that's in the green group will like have something green on theirs, and the schedule will match. So you have like everybody's name, and then on the back of it, we'll have everybody's schedule.
Yeah, I think we'll probably have like colored stickers in case we can make changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll probably work.
We'll figure it out. Yes.
I have another dress code question. Are we strictly going like tennis shoes, or like can you wear like sandals or like slides?
discuss that, but you're gonna be moving and dancing and the kids will step on your feet, so it's just,
Close to with a bag.
yes, close to the back, yeah.
You don't want to find yourself in a position where she falls off or. We'll be dancing and stuff too, so think about that.
Yes.
If I had a shirt like this on, for instance, would that be considered like distracting for any reason? Like,
Honestly, I'm thinking Riley would love that shirt, so
Okay.
go for it. Yeah, it's cool. This is fun and silly, you guys. This is kids. We're good time.
As long as it's not like inappropriate.
Yes. No words or gestures or weird drawings.
I guess back to the kind of like if there's a kid that really wants to sit in your lap and things like that, what exactly do you do if like you don't want the kid to sit in your lap or whatever? Do you just kind of let it happen?
No, your personal space is very important
Like
as
I
well.
just don't know how to like.
Yeah, you can just. Well, some of the kids will. I mean, you can answer this one. But
Yeah. Definitely don't ever do anything that makes you uncomfortable. You can let us know the form, you can come up to us right away. Always voice. And I don't think there's too many lap sitters, and the only ones where that would even be appropriate would be the really little ones. After a certain age, the dynamic's a little different.
But a lot of them will listen if you communicate, and you're
Yeah,
like,
of course,
I'm not
yeah.
really comfortable with that, or my legs are so sore from dance. Like, let's stretch instead, and you can kind of redirect that behavior as well. It's like, oh well, I really want to stretch right now, so I need my personal space. Why don't you sit next to me? We can stretch together.
Okay. Redirection and distraction are very powerful behavior tools.
Biggest tools.
Might be my biggest tool as a teacher. Like you said, just redirecting to something else, they might forget about it entirely. Whatever it is, whether that's that situation or something else. You'd be shocked how many times it works.
And that's true for most behaviors as well. I mean, we always say, like, don't say no to a performer, but that doesn't mean you can't redirect them. So if they're, playing with their hair and they want to, play with their neighbor's hair, it's like, well, why don't we dance instead? Or why don't we get silly and play the mirror game instead? Or if they're doing something that, I'm trying to think of another example, where maybe we're transitioning. Maybe we're in instruments and they really don't want to leave instruments. They are having a blast in instruments, but it's time to rotate. And so you can ask them, hey, do you want to go get water or do you want to go to vocals? And that gives them a choice. It gives them agency to decide what they're going to do next, rather than like, we have to leave. That doesn't really give them a lot of choice. Does that make sense? Yes.
I'll not put it in the toolbox, but.
Yes.
So like in the example you gave, someone's playing with their neighbor's hair, like what if they know that you're trying to redirect the behavior, they still keep doing it anyway? They don't like ignore you, they just like kind of keep doing it anyway. What do you do then?
Yeah, you can grab one of us and we can help as well. And most of the time they're not. It's not going to be unwanted, but it may be distracting for other people. So if you can't figure out a way to redirect them or stop the behavior in a positive way, grab one of us. And we'll be in the room. So a lot of this stuff, like, we'll jump in. You won't even have to ask us. We'll just automatically know. But there might be, we might be distracted or dealing with something else, or having a good time with somebody else, and playing with this performer, and you might need to like tap us and say like, hey, can you help us? We're happy.
I'm so glad that we are different. I would hate to be the same. I just wanna be peculiar.
How can I get this through? Nobody can be like you. Don't compare yourself to no one, 'cause they can't do what you done. To thine own self be true.
About singing songs.
Arts and crafts.
Thumb jam. Yeah, Sister's really good at thumb jam.
Hey, don't let them dim your shine.
My favorite thing about Prism Project is making all these new friends.
Hey Jerry Ann, what's your favorite thing about Prism Project?
What's your favorite? Music? Music? Yeah.
Well, I usually like the thing before the ending part.
Which is with all of our friends, right?
Yeah. Oh.
And what else do you like playing the
Music room.
What's your favorite thing? Dancing. I like dancing too.
What's your favorite thing?
Everything?
Prism Project? Do you like dancing or singing or music?
Music.
He likes music the most.
Well, I like doing instruments. You like? Is there a certain song that you like to play instruments to? Yeah, but I'm on top of the world. To dance with my best friends.
Okay. And what else?
And I like the iPad. This time.
The instruments. Instruments? What instrument? Those pat bells that I like. The pat bells. I would say my favorite part was dancing.
Project. Hanging out with my friends. Specifically who?
Read. I like meeting new people, and I like the music.
Project.
My favorite thing about Prism Project is that we all could just be ourselves and have fun.
And I like hanging out with the kids and pretending that I'm a kid again, and just having fun dancing.
I just wanna be peculiar. Nothing wrong with being strange. What does that even mean? Does anybody know? I just wanna be the real me.
Well, you done me and you bet I felt it. I tried to be chill, but you're so hot that I melted. I fell right through the cracks. Now I'm trying to get back. Before the cool done run out, I'll be giving it my bestest, and nothing's gonna stop me but divine intervention. I reckon it's again my turn to win some or learn some, but I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait. I'm yours. Open up your mind and see like me. Open up your plans and damn, you're free. I look into your heart and you'll find love, 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 and love. Listen to the music of the moment, people dance and sing. We're just one big family, and it's our God-forsaken right to be loved, love, love.